Hi everyone, I am Mac and this is Mac's Cozy World. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be going over everything I have made in my first 6 months of crocheting. So I'm super excited to show you guys everything that I've made so far. I'm going to try to go through everything pretty quickly, but it's still probably going to end up being a little bit of a longer video. So make sure to grab your hook and some yarn or any craft project you might be working on, and let's hang out. So before we get into everything that I've crocheted in my first 6 months of crocheting, I just wanted to share with you guys the few pieces that my mom made my partner and I for Christmas last year that kind of got me started thinking about crochet. I didn't start crocheting until March of this year, but these things that she made us did kind of get me interested in crochet. So she made my boyfriend this really cute square coaster in the colors of the school we went to college at. That's how we met. And then she made me this cute galaxy coaster that actually matches my mouse pad perfectly. And then also she made me these crocheted hand warmers, and I absolutely loved these. I actually want to learn how to make a pair myself. Yeah, so cute. I love them. Yeah, so those are the things that she made us for Christmas last year, and I really enjoyed them. I think receiving a handmade gift is just amazing. All right, so to move on to everything that I've done so far in my crochet journey, I just wanted to start off in letting you guys know I'm going to be kind of splitting it off into a couple of different sections. So the first section is going to be like more practical type items that I've made, and a lot of these I've actually gifted, so I'll be inserting pictures throughout the video. And then the second half will be all of the amigurumi that I've made in the first 6 months of crocheting. Some of these I've gifted as well, so I'll insert pictures of those. Any patterns or video tutorials I used, I will put in a Google Doc linked in this description box down below for you guys if you're interested in any of these. And at the very end of the video, I'll be showing off all of my Little Monster Collection amigurumi. If you guys watched my last video, I showed you the very first little monster in that collection, a little vampire named Drac. I finished the other 2 little monsters, so stay tuned until the very end of the video to check those guys out. Okay, so let's get started with the more practical items that I've made so far. And these aren't necessarily going to be in order, but each little subsection of this section, I'll show you guys them in order. So first up are coffee cozies. When I started to crochet, was obsessed with coffee cozies and coasters. I just thought they were so fun to make. I haven't made them for a little bit, but I want to definitely get back into making some. This is the very first one I did, and it's black. I'm sorry, I know it's hard to see. Actually, let me see. I have a little cup over here. This is a little 12-ounce cup, so this is going to be big on here. But this is just a single crochet coffee cozy, and it came out like really holy. This was before I really had any sort of control over my tension. This is a blanket stitch one I did. I think it turned out pretty cool. These 2 are linen stitch little coffee cozies that I actually made too small, so they don't fit on that cup, but they'll fit on the Starbucks 12-ounce, the really small skinny one. So yeah, this one got seamed in the back. And then I made a kind of multicolor white one with spots of black and gray throughout that was gifted. And then I made this gray one. And then I made this one in a daisy stitch. that I really like. This one kind of reminded me of Alice in Wonderland, I think because of the button I chose. And then I made a couple of half double crochet coffee cozies I'll insert a picture of. These were gifted. Then I made a coffee cozy with a sunflower applique, and I gifted that to my mom. And then I made a yellow daisy stitch coffee cozy that was also gifted. And then I made a birthday themed coffee cozy that was gifted. And then I made these Twilight inspired coffee cozies. I love Twilight. I'm a huge Twilight fan. Twihard, have all the books, read of them a few times. I have all the movies. I watch them all the time. I've even made a couple of trips to Forks, Washington. So yeah, love Twilight. This is my Edward inspired coffee cozy. This is my Jacob inspired coffee cozy. So this is Edward / the Cullens, Jacob / the Wolfpack, and then I have Aro / the Volturi. So I thought these were super fun, fun little idea. You might notice that Edward and Aro's sparkle because they're vampires, and vampires in that universe sparkle. So those were super fun. I hope to eventually open an Etsy and put these on there for other Twihards out there. So that's it for the coffee cozy so far. Like I said, I do really want to get back into them. I figured out how to, instead of having to like crochet a flat piece and then sew it together, I just learned how to work it in the round. And then you just slip stitch chain one in between so that you don't get that step one at the end. I'm actually thinking of doing a tutorial for like a beginner coffee cozy using the half double crochet that I do for most of my coffee cozies. So if anyone's interested in that, let me know. That would be a pretty fun video. And now we're going to move into coasters. I've made quite a few coasters. The first few I'm going to show you were kind of just like practice tests to kind of figure out what I was doing. So the very first ones I made were these two. And they're like just circles with the crab stitch around. And God, the crab stitch is hard. Not a fan, honestly. Not a fan. And then here's another one. And then after these 3 practice ones, I made 4 coasters for my partner's dad. I'll insert a picture of those. And then I made another 2 coasters in these colors. They turned out much better. Those were gifted as well. And then I have all of these coasters. I'm calling them my birthday cake coasters, just because they remind me of like that funfetti birthday cake. And I learned how to do, instead of crab stitch, a slip stitch chain one in between, and it comes, this really pretty border comes out. I really prefer this over the crab stitch, and I also think it looks a little bit nicer, and it's just easier for me to do. But I really like that I don't know if there's a specific name for that. I just saw a random YouTube short one day showing like, oh, here's an easy border, and it was just a slip stitch chain one. So that's what I do now for all of my round coasters. Actually, all of my coasters. And then I also have these. These ones are pretty cool. So it's like this nice orange, and then there was a very variegated yarn that I used around the edges and then the middle, so like they all turned out a little bit different. I did luck out somehow, and the border on these orange ones ended up with pretty much the same color. So there's those 4. And then the last coasters I've done are these Flower Power coasters. I really like these ones. I really love like earthy fall tones, so I went with that kind of theme with these coasters. So it's like the life stage of a leaf, you know, green, orange, red, brown, and then yellow for the middle. Sorry, I'm holding that really awkwardly. But yeah, there's those. And then that is it for coasters. All right, and now we're moving on to some of the kind of just more random projects that I've done so far. So after the coasters, I made this like pouch thing. There was a button at some point, but this was still in my early crochet days, and I didn't sew the button on very well, so that has come off over time. I was originally using this for like crochet hooks, but now I have a bunch of them, and I don't really keep anything in here anymore. This would be good though if I'm like traveling and just want to bring a few crochet hooks and some tapestry needles and stitch markers. I can just stick them all in here. And then I have just a few scrunchies with the velvet yarn. These I actually watched a couple of different YouTube videos. Unfortunately, I cannot remember what ones they were, and combined what I saw in them. So I decided to do a single crochet around the actual ponytail itself, and then just did a bunch of, I think, oh man, I can't remember if it was double crochet or half double crochet. And I can't tell. Around. I made these and figured out that scrunchies weren't really my thing. Like, they're kind of cute, but I wasn't super into making a bunch of them. I did make this really tiny one, whoop, just to see how it would turn out. But yeah, that was it for scrunchies. And then after that, again, these are all kind of loosely in order. I'm trying to just clump some of like items together. I made a pot holder that was gifted to my partner's mom. And then I also have this, I made this for our cast iron. So this goes on the handle. And this has been so nice because I used to just like grab a towel really quick or another pot holder to put around the handle because those can get really hot. But I just stuck one of these on there and it works perfectly. So this is really cool. If you make one, make sure you do take it off if you're going to put your cast iron in the oven. Don't want to burn your house down. But for when you're just cooking on the stove top, this is great. And sorry, I have most everything on the floor, so I'm sorry that I keep bending down to pick some of this stuff up. And then I have this washcloth that I made in Scrubology yarn and then just went around with a regular cotton border. I'm never going to use that yarn again. I don't know. It was a challenge, and this is one of the earlier projects that I did. I think I did just half double crochet. Again, I can't remember. I didn't follow any sort of tutorial for this. I was just making a big square, basically. And oh my gosh, this yarn. You can't see any of the stitches. So it's like best guess of where everything is. But then I made these dish scrubbies to go along with it. And for this, I decided to combine the yarn, the Scrubology yarn, with the cotton yarn together. And that made it a lot easier to use. Having that cotton yarn in there actually helped me be able to see the stitches. And this I just did like single crochet in the round, and then I did do, you can't really see, but I did do the slip stitch chain 1 border on these. I have used this, and there was some color bleeding, and so I actually haven't used these dish scrubbies yet because I don't know. I really like them, and I know that all the colors are gonna bleed. It's not gonna be pretty anymore. But yeah, those are that. I would not recommend that this particular scrub yarn for beginners because it was torture. And then I have, let's see. Oh, this I absolutely love. This is one of my favorite things that I've made, is this Kindle sleeve. And I actually modified a pattern for like a phone pocket. Just made it a little bit wider. And then I added a couple of leaf appliques on here. But I really, really like this. It turned out really nice. Like I said, one of the favorite things that I've made so far. And then my mom asked me if I would make her a couple of wasp decoy nests. She has a wasp problem at her house. A couple of years ago, they were actually nesting in the siding of her home. She had to like come get them removed, and they still come and hang out around her house every summer. So she wanted me to make a couple of little wasp nets. So I will insert a picture of those. And let's see. Oh, and then I have these gift pouches. So this gift pouch, I followed the video tutorial by A Crafty Concept, and hers turned out so nice and so cute. I did not like how mine turned out. I feel like it turned out really bulky. I did use a medium weight acrylic, and I think in her video she was using cotton yarn, but she also had a few that were made with acrylic. I had to size up my hook though, otherwise if I followed the pattern exactly, this would have turned out tiny because my tension is tighter. But I just wasn't feeling how this turned out. But I really liked the idea of a gift pocket. So the idea is that you could put like money or a hand sanitizer or some candy or something like that, and then gift it to somebody. And then they could reuse this, like if you turned it into a keychain, they could reuse it as a little, like any kind of keychain, little pouch thing that they wanted. So I really liked the idea of that. I just didn't like how I executed her pattern. So I kind of came up with my own, inspired by that gift pocket. I made a gift pouch, so you could put things in there. And what I did, I started off with a chain and then worked from the chain in the round, adding increases on the side. And then I added a mushroom applique on here. I never did add a button. These turned out really cute, and I did write up the pattern for it. I just, in general, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about these. Here's the second version I did. I added a couple rows and then did a slip stitch chain 1 in between each row, so you didn't end up with that weird step at the end. But by doing that, it turned out a little bit bumpier on the side where I did the slip stitch chain 1. But it did turn out bigger, so I was able to fit like an actual gift card in here. And these, fun fact, actually inspired the body shape of my amigurumi design. So I basically kind of followed what I did on here in terms of increasing on my amigurumi body. So these gift pockets kind of inspired my amigurumi, which I think was kind of interesting. And then I have this ice cream sleeve. I have an empty ice cream pint over here. This is another one of my favorite things that I've made. I didn't follow a pattern for this, I just made it. But I really like it. I was eating ice cream one day and I was just like, I usually wrap it up in like a towel or whatever blanket I'm holding because your hands get cold holding the container. I was like, oh man, I bet I could make an ice cream sleeve. And I did. I looked it up and like, it's definitely a thing. This isn't an original thought, but I didn't follow a pattern. It is my own little design for it in terms of like stitches that I used and how I did it. But yeah, I really like how that turned out. And then just a couple of random, not necessarily practical things, but these will be the last items in this section, are my granny squares. So here's my very first granny square. And I did make a little video of just me crocheting it. If you guys wanted to check it out, it's not a tutorial, it's just kind of like a hang out with me while I crochet video. But yeah, I love the colors. And then I made a solid granny square. I haven't weaved in the ends, but I really like the solid granny square. This is cool, but all of the little holes aren't my favorite. And so what I really like with the solid granny square is that it's mostly solid, and then you get these really cool, almost diamond shaped holes in the corners. So I really like the solid granny squares. But that is it for my practical section. And like I said at the beginning, I'll have a Google Doc in the description down below. If I followed any sort of YouTube tutorial or pattern, that'll be down in the Google Doc. And now it is time for the amigurumi section of my video. I love making amigurumi. I think they are so fun. I love how they turn out. They are so cute. So definitely some of my more favorite projects that I've done so far in my crochet journey. There is going to be some overlap in this section. If you watched my very first YouTube video, I went over all of the amigurumi I had made up until that point. So there is going to be some overlap from that video, but there's also going to be some new amigurumi. And remember, stay till the end so you can see all of the little monsters that I have made. So first up, we have this little crochet cow by Rose and Lily Amigurumi here on YouTube. If you watched my first video, you'll know I talked about the buttons that I used for the eyes and how I was going to cut them out and embroider new eyes. I have not done that yet, but I will get to it. I think for my very first amigurumi, he turned out really cute and pretty good. However, I did really struggle with this velvet yarn. It kept breaking and shedding, and I wasn't having a good time. And you'll know that if you watch my very first video. But like I said, I do think for my very first try, he came out pretty cute. And then we have this little bat, also by Rose and Lily Amigurumi, made in that same velvet yarn. And he was the one that about did me in and made me never want to make amigurumi again because of the velvet yarn. I have learned a little bit more about velvet yarn and working with it. I have found that I need to use a bigger a bigger hook with it in order for it to work for me. I didn't know that at the time. And so I was really struggling and I almost threw in the towel on amigurumi after making this one because I was just struggling so much with it. However, my sister wanted me to crochet sea creatures for her new baby, and so I said yes, but decided to do them in acrylic yarn instead. And so I don't have these anymore. They were all shipped off to my sister, but I will insert pictures along the way. So first we have this little sea turtle by Rose and Lily Amigurumi. And then we have this octopus by Hooked by Robin. And we have this super cute whale, also by Hooked by Robin. And then we have this jellyfish lovey. So what I did for the little top, the jellyfish, is I just modified Crochet by Jenna's little octo pattern, just so he would have more little like squigglies around, so it looked more like a jellyfish and less like an octopus, which just has 8 little legs. And then after that, I made the ever so famous mushroom boy from Instagram by Chonky Crochet. I'm sure you guys have seen this little guy all over Instagram or have even made him yourself. Mine turned out pretty small because I used a worsted weight cotton. A lot of the people that make this little guy use like a velvet yarn, chenille, or like a plush yarn, so they come out quite a bit bigger. But I think he turned out really cute. I want to make more and maybe turn them into some keychains. I think those would be super cute. And then after the little mushroom guy, we made these adorable Doxy chickens by a Crafty Concept. I really like how these turned out. I think they're super, super cute. These are a couple of my favorite amigurumis that I've made, these cute little chickens. And then after that, I tried modifying the like pattern by a Crafty Concept, just using the body, and then tried to come up with my own mushroom top, which it's okay. It's not my favorite, but it was a good learning experience, I think, and he's pretty cute. And then after that little guy, we've got my handy dandy catster, which I use as a pin cushion. One of the best things I've made, I think, because he seriously comes in so handy. He's got everything I need. He's got pins, stitch markers, tapestry needles, a random button. So he mostly hangs out down in my living room because that's where I crochet the most. But yeah, I really like him. He's cute. And then after that, we have the adorable, chunky, fat Bessie. And this was a pattern test for another crocheter on Instagram, No Way Crochet. And she is super cute, super chunky, love it. And then after little fat Bessie, we've got this tiny mallard duck by Yarny Box. I think Yarny Boxes has like a little, where you put like a little tuft of hair or feathers at the top. I decided to not do that. He turned out really cute. And then after that, we've got Kirby by Crocheted. I made this for my partner because one of his favorite video game characters is Kirby. I really like how he turned out. He's like seriously a perfect circle. Just so cool, so cool. And then we've got this mushroom guy by Straw Animals. I really like how this one turned out. Her pattern does this really cool thing where it like indents right here, the way the pattern is designed, which is really cool, like indents at the legs. So it really defines like the belly area. And then we have, this is one of my favorite things that I've made, the Frankenstein Ghosty. This was a pattern test for a crocheter on Instagram, Creation Tish. I absolutely love this little guy. I think he's super cute. I really want to make more, or another one. I just haven't gotten around to it yet because I was designing my own little amigurumis. But I really want to make him a little friend. I was thinking of modifying it into a Bride of Frankenstein to go along with him, but I love him. I think he's super, super cute. And then after the little Frankenstein Ghosty, I made a Frankenbob, which was also a pattern test for Blossom by A. So this was a mystery pattern. So I didn't know what I was making. And she said in her tester call that she used yellow and blue, but we could choose to use whatever colors we wanted. So I wanted to give the velvet yarn a second chance. And so the only colors I had were black, this like spa blue-green color, and this like purpley maroon color. And so I had no idea what I was making until I got to, I think, the eyes, and it finally clicked. I was like, oh my gosh, it's SpongeBob. But by that point, I was like way past the point of no return. And so I was like, okay, well, he kind of looks like Frankenstein. So I turned him into a Frankenbob. I think he turned out pretty cute. The pattern is out and it's free. It's actually called SpongeBob in a Swimsuit. But I do love the little Frankenbob. I think he's adorable and super fun. And I learned, like I said earlier, that with velvet yarn, I need to use a larger hook. And it turned out a whole lot better. It was so much easier to use. I really like him. And after Frankenbob, we have some Hallow Bees. This is a free pattern by Katie Being Creative. I just followed her like regular bee pattern, just changing the colors for these. And then she has a modification for a candy corn bee, so that's what I used for this little guy. I think these are adorable. I love the Halloween-y colors that I picked for them. And then after that, we have this little cute harvest cat. This was a pattern test for Bees Crochets on Instagram. Hers was like a pumpkin cat, but I just used some yarn colors that I had. I think he turned out so cute. He looks a little bit more like a mouse to me because I ended up folding the ears in half and single crocheting across so they'd be a little bit easier to sew on. But that made the ears a little bit bigger. Oh, he came out a little mousy. But I think he's so cute. I don't think the pattern for this guy is out yet. But if you're interested, definitely go follow them on Instagram, and that way you'll know when the pattern comes out. And after our little guy, we made a witch latte. This was used following Wonder Crochet's pumpkin spice latte pattern, but I didn't have any colors that would fit the pumpkin spice latte at the time, so I was like, I'll make a little witch latte. And this was inspired by that Witch's Brew frap that Starbucks came out with a few years ago. I never had it, but I did remember that they made something like that, so I Googled it, and it was purple with green whipped cream on top. So that was the inspiration behind this little witchy latte. We've got the purple on the bottom, orange foam, and then slimy green whipped cream, a black licorice, which I actually don't like, but it fit with the theme, and a little candy corn. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, I think this is super fun. That pattern, like I said, is by Wonder Crochet, and she has a pumpkin spice latte on there, a modification for a matcha latte, and also a modification for a peppermint latte, which I want to make because I am a huge peppermint mocha fan. Peppermint mochas are my absolute favorite espresso drink. I get it every winter. Although I have an espresso maker at home now, so I could technically make them myself, but it just feels weird making them outside of winter time. So right now I just make regular mochas. Anyway, back from that little side note, this is a super fun pattern. You could, there are endless possibilities you can make with that pattern. So it's super fun. I definitely recommend checking it out. And then after our witchy latte, I made a mini mushroom. Someone I know actually reached out to me to see if I could make it for their daughter, and I did. So she was my first real customer besides my mom. When my mom actually paid me for the wasp nests, which was super cool. But this was the first person who reached out to me wanting to buy something that wasn't my family. So that was really cool. And I'll insert a picture of that here. I think it turned out really cute. That was a free pattern by, let's see, Rainy Terrace Crochet on Instagram. I modified it so it doesn't look exactly like theirs. I modified it just to make it work for me because the way it was turning out while I was making it was just looking weird. So I just changed a few things, and I think it turned out really cute. And then we've got, oh, our little candy corn. So this one I made in the a video, another kind of like hang out with me video, hang out and crochet video. So I made this little candy corn by Elise Rose Crochet, and so she has 3 total candy corn patterns, one for a large, one for a medium, one for a small. So I made the one for the medium first in that YouTube video, and then after that I decided to make the other sizes. So we've got the large, and then we've got the small, which is so tiny. Doing the face on this one was so hard because it's so small. I had to like split the embroidery floss to only use a few strands, but oh, it's so tiny. I don't know if you can see it. And what I did was kind of just change out the color pattern. So for this one I did the like, you know, traditional yellow, orange, white, although it's more of an off-white because I didn't have white at the time. And then for the large one I did the white, yellow, orange. And then for the little baby, I did orange, white, yellow. So they turned out, so there was a little bit of difference between each one, but they still match kind of thing. So I really like how these guys turned out. I've been in full-on Halloween mode since like the end of August. I can't remember when I started all this Halloween stuff, but I love Halloween. It's one of my, actually it is my favorite holiday probably, and fall is my favorite season. So anytime it gets remotely close to fall or Halloween, I start going into Halloween mode. And then I also saw everybody on Instagram was also getting into fall and Halloween mode. So I was just like, heck yeah, let's all just start crocheting Halloween and fall stuff. So it's been super fun. And now it is time to reveal all of my amigurumi in my Little Monsters collection. I'm calling this the Little Monsters Classic Edition because I kind of just did like the classic monsters that you would see in the old movies, like so classic Universal. And so first up, which I did do in my last YouTube video, was my little vampire Drac, and he is adorable. I love him. And so I did it to where he had like this little, like it just all of a sudden kind of did a little bump out to start with the chunk. And like I said way earlier, my gift pouches, how I was doing the gift pouches kind of inspired how I was going to do the body, by doing increases on like the sides to make the shape. And so I think it turned out really cute. So this is the little Drac, the little vampire. Vampires, also fun fact, are my favorite supernatural creatures. So almost every book that I own is vampire related or has vampires in it. In general, I just love like supernatural things. So vampires, werewolves, witches, super into all those TV shows, movies, books. And so making these little amigurumi was kind of special to me because it was in that realm of something that I really love. So little Drac. And then I did Frank, little Frankenstein. I did a little bit of stitches for him. When I was first doing this, I had the purple with the green. I was like, oh man, he kind of looks like the Hulk. And he still does a little bit, now that I think of it. A Hulk Frankenstein. I do think he's really cute. He actually might be my favorite. Even though vampires in general are my favorite supernatural beings, I think my favorite little monster is Frank. I just think he turned out so cute, and I love the colors. And then last, my final little monster is Lobo, the werewolf. And this guy was a total labor of love. I feel like I went really ambitious with this guy. It might not seem like it, but to me this was hardcore. So I wanted to make the shorts look kind of frayed. So I did what you see on Frank's head, the little stitches. I did that along the bottom in white, so it looked like frayed jeans, frayed shorts. And then I found this really cool yarn at Hobby Lobby that's actually, like, I think the name of it is Jean. It's I Love This Cotton. And then I just did a couple rows of dark blue. And then I was just gonna do the rest of him in brown, like all of it in brown. But then I was thinking, you know, like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to have a lighter patch that looked kind of like skin or something, or even just like a lighter patch of fur, I guess, however you want to interpret it. Because in the old movies, like the old school werewolves, they were like humanoid wolves. They weren't just humans that turned into a wolf. So they would have a little bit of skin showing. And so I kind of wanted to reflect that in my little amigurumi, and I hope that kind of translates. So that's why his face and chest are in that more, they're in the lighter color or fleshy tone. And then I did a little widow's peak and went back to the brown on top. I do really like how he turned out. He was the hardest out of all three of them for me to do, I think, just because of all of the color changing through here. And at first I was trying to cheat and figure out like how not to have to carry the yarn through, because I don't really like how that looks. Like, you might not be able to tell, but I can tell the difference in like one of my regular stitches and a stitch that has yarn being carried through it, because they're just a little bit thicker. Sometimes you can see the yarn through. I don't know if you can see those tiny little light spots in that brown, but that bothers me. So if you guys know of any way to do the color changes without having to carry the yarn through, I mean, the only other way I can think of is just constantly like cutting your yarn, you know, switching your yarn, tying a knot or whatever, like a normal way you might do a color change. But yeah, if any of you guys know of an easier way to do color changes like this, let me know. I did end up just carrying the yarn through because it was easier than what I was trying to do before. I'm just not a huge fan of how it looks. But that being said, overall, I think he turned out great. I hope you guys can kind of tell that I went for like a frayed look on his pants. Hopefully that translates through. And here are all of them together. Maybe we've got all of them together. Here we go. They're so cute. I love them. I'm very proud of them. I think they turned out really nice, really cute. And I do plan on writing up the pattern for these guys and doing a tester call over on Instagram. So if any of you guys are interested in testing the pattern for me, make sure you are following me on Instagram, because that's where I will do the announcement of finding people to test the pattern. And then once that's done, I do plan on having the pattern for sale, but I will also be doing a giveaway for the pattern. Once everything's all said and done and the pattern is ready to be released, I will make an announcement in one of these videos that I will have the patterns available for a giveaway, and we'll do my very first YouTube giveaway, so that'll be fun. And with these little guys, my cute little monsters, that is the end of everything I have made in my first 6 months of my crochet journey. If you've made it this far in the video, please leave a few pumpkin emojis in the comments down below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me and see any more little creations I might be making in the future, please hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you subscribe if you want to stay up to date on my Little Monsters collection and are interested in maybe winning those patterns. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me today, and I can't wait to catch you in my next video.